All right, so I'm going to be talking about modifying and ending CSS services. And the first thing I want to say is the counselor really should be monitoring services um, throughout by using ongoing communication, looking at reports from the ESO to determine if the participants' functional skills are improving measurably as a result of CSS services. And there's always been a question in the past regarding when to end services, what does that look like, how do I know? So we wanted to give some context here. And please know that if the team finds that functioning isn't improving as quickly as they thought, or they had some concerns, schedule a team meeting. Get with the team, get with the participant, see if the CSS plan needs to be modified at all. So when looking at CSS, if the participant has met the goals established in the plan and they have been informed and they understand the strategies for maintaining the skills, then you can go ahead and end services. If the participant, for some reason, whatever it may be, has not complied with the requirements of the plan, despite team meetings, guidance and counseling, modification, then you can also end services. And of course, if the participant decides that they no longer want to participate in CSS, you can also end services. But again, after you have had a team meeting and you've had some concerns, and after sufficient time and plan modifications, if it's clear that the participant is unable to meet the intermediate and or long-term objectives, then you can also end services. But I have to stress, please keep those team meetings, make them available for everyone, and consider modifying a plan and seeing what else can be done before abruptly ending services. That should never be done when providing CSS. So I mentioned before that ESOs will be completing an assessment at the beginning of services, but you'll be utilizing that same assessment and plan at the conclusion of services. And you're going to do this whether or not services are ended without successful attainment of desired goals. So either way, this final assessment and plan needs to be documented. So when services are complete, the ESO is going to want to enter post ratings, final outcomes, and the steps for sustaining the skills on that original CSS plan. As we said before, there's a pre-rating and a post-rating on the same form. And the DRS counselor is going to authorize that under a 1205 plan. It's all on the same form. Once that's completed, the counselor is going to want to make sure that they are saving that form, saving it in Docfinity along with all of the ESO reports. Please feel free to share those reports, that final report, with the participant and relevant team members as the participant sees fit, because they want to make sure they understand and they have documentation relative to the specific steps needed for skill retention.
All right, back to our trusty case study. So after several months of service provision, Ben and his job coach notified the VRC that service goals were nearing completion and requested an authorization to complete the post ratings on the assessment. And the team met to review the results and confirm a plan for skill retention. So we'll look at some finalized documents here. All right, so you see that the post ratings have been entered, and we're doing this comprehensively for the full, all the categories, even though some were not specifically addressed, because there might be some carryover effects that as Ben developed one skill, maybe that improved his self-direction a little bit. So it's okay to see adjustments in areas, even if that was not the focus of services. And as the post rating changes, it is acceptable to go back and change the frequency as needed in those different areas. So again, post ratings are completed throughout the document. We have the conclusion of our serious functional limitation categories. And then on to our plan, we see that enter the final outcomes and plan for sustaining skills has been entered. So with the example of Ben learning to utilize public transportation, he's able to utilize the app on his smartphone to confirm the appropriate bus route and desired destination. And he can now ride the bus independently to and from known locations. And he's expected to text his mother at departure and arrival time. So that was added in to make mom feel more comfortable. And he will independently take transit to meetings with his VR counselor and job coach in the future, as well as work, so that he can continue to utilize this skill. And again, by having a final team meeting, we're agreeing that this is reasonable, that moving forward, he is going to continue to use this skill that he's developed so that he will have this knowledge and skill set available to him in the future for a job. Similarly, for self-direction, he's demonstrated a 75% accuracy rate of independently documenting and keeping his personal appointments. So here is a perfect example of we're making great progress. This is not perfection. We're not expecting 100% accuracy. He's a human. We all make mistakes. But the skill set, we have a foundational skill set here. And that's something that we can continue to work with Ben on, because this example assumes that he's going to move on into situational assessments next. And so we can continue to develop that skill. And we have a plan for doing that with job coach, with the VR counselor, and then mom's going to continue to give him space to grow that skill set. So you see the conclusion of that report with the final outcomes. Everybody's come together to have a meeting to make sure we're on the same page, and that document is shared with Ben and his stakeholders. Here is an example of the final month's report. So again, you see that the last month of service provision is included along with the time needed to complete that plan and that meeting. You see very specific details about his ability to use public transportation, activities and interventions, the progress made, any challenges that arose for each of our service areas. And then the conclusion is that now that CSS has been satisfactorily completed, Ben will move on to situational assessments to try out some specific jobs. We have ratings with desired outcomes, talking about the fact that progress has continually been made and now minimal intervention is required. So I hope that this has given you a helpful example of how our tools and forms are intended to be used, so that you can successfully navigate implementing these new strategies and tools for the use of community support services. We have created a form where we would encourage you to submit any questions that you may have. This will give us a tool to review any common themes, questions you might have, support needs, because we will come back to this information and create a frequently asked questions document. If there are themes of things that we didn't sufficiently cover in this recorded training, and we are happy to help, feel free to include your name and contact information on the form with your question. If you have any specifics about service provision, maybe you have a client who's currently receiving community support services and you need a little support with transitioning to this new policy and practice or using the new forms, we're happy to help, and we'll be monitoring that form with questions. So thank you so much for your time today. Sherrina, Richard, do you have anything to add in conclusion of our conversation today?
I don't have anything to add. I just want to say thank you for all who have tuned in to watch the training. Please know that we are here to answer any questions or clarify anything, as Ashley mentioned. Either you can get in contact with any one of us and be able to assist you. I don't have anything else. I hope everyone has a good day. Richard, do you have anything to add?
I don't. I just a ditto to everything Ashley and Sherrina said. Enjoyed working with you two on this, and thank you all so much for your time and listen to the presentation today and the contributions that you two made.